Imagine walking through a city that should never have existed. A place so full of rhythm and pride that its very presence feels like a challenge to the world around it. They called it progress, but this is why they feared Black Wall Street. Every step on Greenwood Avenue echoes with the sound of a people proving a nation wrong. A place where freedom isn't promised, it's practiced. The streets are alive with color and ambition. Fresh bread cools in bakery windows. Jazz hums from open doors. And the smell of hair tonic and ink and roasted coffee mix in the air. Men in crisp suits hurry toward offices they own. Women carry ledgers, lesson plans, or trays of pastries balanced in perfect rhythm. Children chase each other between storefronts, stopping at candy stands or pressing their faces to bakery glass, eyes wide at the rows of golden pies. Banks, restaurants, barbers, law firms, a theater called Dreamland, all built, run, and owned by Black hands. And this is where fear begins, because success was never part of the plan. Freedom was never supposed to look like this. Greenwood didn't wait for permission or equality. It simply created both. And a people who don't depend on you are harder to control. Did you even know Black Wall Street existed? Most people didn't. It wasn't in the textbooks, and it rarely made the documentaries. For years, the story lived like a secret, too powerful, maybe too honest, to fit into the version of history people preferred to tell. At the heart of this place was a man named Ottawa W. Gurley, a businessman, visionary, believer. In 1906, he bought 40 acres of land on Tulsa's north side and sold it only to Black families ready to invest, build, and dream. That decision created more than a neighborhood. It created proof. By 1921, Greenwood was worth millions. There were grocery stores, clothing shops, cafes, a hospital, and schools that outperformed white districts across town. There were churches that doubled as meeting halls, newspapers that printed the truth first, and a currency that rarely left its own streets. Money here could circulate for a year before touching the outside world. Imagine that, a self-sustaining ecosystem of pride, progress, and purpose existing side by side with a world that still told them they were less. Across the railroad tracks, resentment grew. Some stared across at Greenwood's neat homes and bustling sidewalks and whispered, "How did they do it?" Others said nothing but watched, and fear turned their silence into something dangerous. Because if Greenwood could thrive without help, then maybe the whole system keeping people apart could fall apart too. Then came the spark. It's the morning of May 30th, 1921. A 19-year-old shoe shiner named Dick Rowland steps into an elevator at the Drexel building. The operator is a 17-year-old white girl named Sarah Page. The door closes. The elevator jolts. Rowland loses balance and instinctively reaches out to steady himself. His hand brushes her arm. She screams. The door opens and a clerk nearby rushes toward them. In that instant, a stumble becomes a story, and a story becomes a weapon. By afternoon, whispers of an attack spread through downtown Tulsa. By evening, the Tulsa Tribune prints the headline, "Nabbed Negro for attacking girl in elevator." No proof, no testimony, just ink and outrage. Crowds gather. Words become threats. And as the sun sets, fear catches fire. Rowland is arrested and taken to the courthouse. A white mob begins to form outside, demanding his release to justice, which, in that time, meant a rope. Inside Greenwood, men remember the names of others who never made it to trial. They refuse to let history repeat itself. About 75 armed Black veterans, men who fought for America overseas, marched down to the courthouse to stand guard. They're calm, proud, disciplined, protecting one of their own. Across from them, a crowd, twice their size, seized with anger. Someone reaches for a gun. A shot breaks the night open. Then chaos. The mob surges forward. Bullets slice the air. Windows shatter. The courthouse lights flicker in the smoke. Fear transforms into fury. By midnight, hundreds of white men move toward Greenwood, armed with rifles, pistols, and torches. They pour across the tracks like a storm with no direction but down. Houses ignite one by one. Businesses that took years to build crumble in minutes. Flames lick the night sky, turning it orange and violent. Families run barefoot through the streets, clutching children, photographs, and Bibles. Mothers press their babies to their chests as roofs collapse behind them. Doctors drag patients out of burning hospitals. The Dreamland Theater, once alive with laughter and saxophones, becomes a furnace. And then the planes come. Private aircraft, flown by white men, circle overhead, dropping firebombs made of gasoline and turpentine. The world's richest black community is bombed from the sky by its own countrymen. It's the first time American citizens drop explosives on American soil, not against enemies, but against neighbors. By dawn, Greenwood is gone. The streets are black ash, lined with twisted metal and silence. 35 city blocks erased. More than 1,200 homes destroyed. 300 people dead. 10,000 left homeless, walking barefoot through smoke that still rises from what used to be their lives. In the days that follow, no one is arrested. Not one. Insurance companies refuse to pay a cent. Riot damage, they call it, as if the community set itself on fire. The city offers no aid, no apology, no justice. Families who once owned businesses now sleep in tents. Teachers hold class under trees because the schools are gone. Children sift through the ashes for anything familiar. A ring, a photograph, a book that didn't burn. Imagine spending years building your dream and watching it vanish overnight, then being told it never really happened. Imagine being called the cause of your own tragedy. That's what injustice sounds like. Not shouting, but silence with a signature at the bottom. By 1925, Greenwood begins to rebuild. Walls rise again, stores reopen, sermons echo in makeshift churches. But the air feels different. The faith that hard work could protect you has burned away. They rebuild because they must, not because they feel safe. For decades, Tulsa buries the story. Newspapers delete it from archives. Teachers skip the chapter. Politicians call it unfortunate and move on. History erases what fire began. The survivors grow old. Their children inherit silence. And America tells itself a cleaner version of progress. But time has a way of uncovering what ash can't hide. Today, a few streets still bear the name Greenwood. A small museum stands where an empire once thrived. The bricks that survived are dark, with smoke that never really left. You can walk there now and see sunlight bouncing off new windows. But if you listen closely, you can still feel the hum of what was lost. If Greenwood had survived untouched, what would it be today? Would it rival Wall Street itself? Would its children be running banks, universities, corporations built on the blueprint their ancestors designed? Or would its success still be seen as a threat instead of a triumph? They feared Black Wall Street not because of what it was, but because of what it proved. It showed that freedom could work, that discipline, ownership, and pride could build something real without permission. It revealed that the myth of superiority was fragile, and the truth of equality unstoppable once seen. And so, they burned it, not just the buildings, but the belief that independence could exist outside their control. They burned the proof that America could have been fair all along. Now, a century later, Tulsa is quiet. There are monuments and plaques, yes, but no crowd of bankers, no jazz, no hum of enterprise, just wine moving through a place that once breathed hope. The American dream burned down here once. It didn't die, it waits. Because in the end, the tragedy of Greenwood isn't only that they feared it, it's that fear won. But does it still win today?